Fork in the Loaf. My name is Heather. And I'm going to go, so my mother-in-law has a family favorite pancake mix. And this is what I keep it in. It's a 1 gallon jug. I don't know if you can see it, but on here, it has instructions like 1 cup mix, 1/2 to 1 cup of water. For waffles, add a tablespoon of oil per cup, really. So like if you're going to do 1 cup of mix and 1 cup of water, put 1 tablespoon of oil, 2 cups of mix, 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of oil, that kind of a thing. So we're going to make this mix so I can refill this because I don't have much left. So I just pulled the last bit out. We're going to make some pancakes with it in here just a little bit. But I'm going to point you down. And I'm going to show you everything that I put in it and how easy it is to do this. Instead of going out and buying it, make it. It's easy. I think it's a little more cost effective. I'm not 100% about that because I do add some ingredients that can be a little bit costly, and I've never done a price breakdown. But I know all the ingredients that are in it, so that's important to me. Some of the things that you're going to need is a whisk. I have a bunch of like measuring spoons that I just took that and measured that what I had. Tablespoon. In here I have some powdered egg. I have flour. This is an einkorn flour that I need to get used up. I would normally mill my own, but I need to use this up. I've got some baking soda, baking powder, and I have powdered butter. And this is pretty much it. You can add sugar to it. It does call for 1/2 cup of sugar. I don't. I figure you're going to put enough sugar on there with your maple syrup. I just don't add the sugar to it. Sugar will help it brown. But the powdered milk will also help it brown. And I get powdered milk from our church storehouse. And it's not the... it's not like the kind that you get in the store. It's like a little, it's not been aerated. So like the ingredients are literally non-fat dry milk, vitamin A palmitate, which I don't know what that is, and vitamin D3. So that's kind of what I like about it. All right, let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 cups of flour and 5 cups of whole wheat to this. Grab my 1 cup measuring cup. Okay. You could totally do this all white flour. You can do it all wheat flour. I know that my family likes a little bit of the wheat flour, the whole wheat flour. They love the all white. That's kind of our society today, right? And then to the white flour, I'm going to add 5 cups of whole wheat flour. And I might not be able to fit that in there. So I'm going to add 10 of these. Might be easier to do this like by weight if you wanted to, but I don't know the weights. And I'm not perfect with my measurements. Like I think I got a little heavy on some of those. Okay, so this is the base of it. And in here I need to add 2.5 cups of instant dry powdered milk. This is not instant, so I don't have to use as much. Okay, so instant milk is different than dry milk. Instant milk, generally, it's the stuff that you buy at the grocery store in a box. It's usually, I want to say roughly about 1/3 cup to 1 cup of cold water. This is like 3 tablespoons of powder to 1 cup of warm water. And then you really have to blend it in. And then you really want to chill it before you try drinking it. Your instant powdered milk from the grocery store is a little bit more like for drinking purposes. This is more for cooking purposes. This can generally be cheaper than the stuff that you get at the grocery store. And you get more from it. It's like a number 10 can. You can get several gallons. Like this right here says there's about 29 cups of milk once you add water to it, with this. If you had this much in instant, it would probably be more like, I don't know, maybe 9-10 cups of milk. So it's just kind of what you have available and what you use in your family. I use this a lot in like mixes and baking, and I use it for making yogurt. So the recipe that I have calls for instant dry milk powder, which is 2.5 cups. Now I have to try and divide that down to tablespoons in here. So let me think for just a second. So I do know that 3 tablespoons is roughly a bit very rough, half of a third of a cup. You know, like, so I'm just going to cut it in half and just do 1.25 cups of regular powdered milk instead of the 2.5 cups of instant dry milk. I can use my 1 cup. And again, it doesn't, you don't have to have this exact, because this is not, we're not baking anything that has to be exact. I mean, even if I did 2 cups, I don't think that would be bad. It wouldn't be exact, it wouldn't be perfect, but that's not a bad thing. It just adds a different, you know, whatever. I don't remember. I think I might have put 2.5 in it last time. Whoops. We are going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. And because you're making this yourself, if that's too much salt for you, don't put that much salt in. If you like more salt, put more salt in it. 2 tablespoons for me of Himalayan pink salt seems to be perfect. You know what? I kind of lied. I'm trying to decide if I should put the sugar in there. I think it helps. I mean, it's only 1/2 cup to 10 cups. That means they're not even getting a tablespoon of sugar per cup. Yeah, let's do it. I am, however, going to use the organic cane sugar. Not necessarily for the organic. I'm not 100% on board with organic yet, but I do like that it's less processed. Go ahead and throw that in. And we're going to put 1/4 cup of baking powder. So hopefully I have 1/4 cup here. And it's starting to get a little bit on the older side, so I'm trying to get it, I'm putting it through here, because those big lumps, when they're hard like that, are kind of nasty. Nobody likes to bite into a big old chunk of baking powder. Or soda. And they're hard too. They're like, see, like these little things, these balls are hard. Like I can't even press them. So I'm going to add another teaspoon just to be on the safe side. Don't want to miss out on any of that baking soda. And I'm sorry, baking powder, not baking soda. Big difference. And I'm not adding baking soda. So my last, actually almost last, I like to use this butter. Now, mind you, the ingredients on here, it says butter powder, butter, cream, water, salt, non-fat milk, tocopherols, which is just vitamin E, ascorbyl palmitate. I don't know what that is, but it's to preserve freshness. You know, I'm kind of, I don't know what that last one is, but it is the last ingredient. And so I'm going to kind of okay it. Now for the powdered butter, it wants, it asks for 1 cup. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I do see all those lumps. They're softer, but I really don't want a big lump of butter in there. So I'm gonna try and siphon or put that through as well. Dirtying up dishes. My dog's barking in there. Out there. This stuff is really good on popcorn. I use it. I've used it in cookies and stuff like that. It is not something that I'm totally bent on using. I actually like butter. And last but not least, calls for 3/4 of a cup of egg powder. This is an 8-ounce jar, and I'm just gonna go with it. If it's not perfect, it's okay. And again, I'm gonna throw it through here because anytime I've had anything sitting like that, this I keep in the freezer so it doesn't go rancid real fast. Because we don't use it that fast. But this stuff, it comes in really handy for baking too, like especially for making mixes. I've done brownie mixes, cake mixes, we just do cookies with it. Added protein to things. You can use it in smoothies if you want to add some protein. You can make pancake mix. One of the things about making your own mixes is one, you can make it your own. If you don't like that much, like I've got friends who don't eat salt like I do, you know, they can tone it down to like not use as much salt in it. If you don't want sugar in it at all, don't put the sugar in it. I've done it with and without. I do notice that it doesn't brown as well without the sugar. So if you like your pancakes to have that golden browning, you're going to need a little something in there. You can put honey in it when you're mixing it. You don't have to use sugar. You can use maple syrup in it when you're mixing it. I just like the sugar will help with the storage. I mean, I can't store it with honey in there. If you had powdered honey, you might be able to do that. But the thing with powdered honey is they have a tendency to add stuff to it. So I try not to do that. So like in the eggs, the powdered eggs, where's my ingredients? Butter powder. That's butter powder. Whoops. Oh, I don't have my egg can down here. All right, and then I'm just going to take my whisk and make a big mess because that stuff is powdery. And you don't really want to breathe this stuff in. I keep trying to step away, take a breath, come back in. You don't have to mix it perfect because it'll mix more as you put it into the jar. But you do want to make sure all your baking sodas and your sugar and salt are all incorporated in most of it, so that even though you're putting it in your jar, you're not going to get a big old hand or spoonful of it when you go to make it. I'm going to use this. It is slightly wider than this, so it helps with getting it in here without making as much of a mess. And I can use my 1 cup measuring cup and just kind of, it still makes a mess. This is not a this is a messy activity. It is not for people who don't like to make a mess. If you're good at not making a mess, hey, you have something to teach me. Oh, I'm so bad at making messes. This is the fun part. So it's not all gonna fit in here without moving it. It's all got air and fluff in there. So you're gonna need to kind of tap it and move it around a little bit, and just to get it to settle in there a little bit, just to get the rest of this in there. And that is it. Now we have pancake and waffle mix ready to go. If the kids get hungry, I work a lot during the daytime, and they're all older kids now. And so if they get hungry, they can come in here and whip up some pancakes. It's literally just add water. You can take it at this point and make sure you keep that lid on and just kind of shake it up a little bit, and that can, keep the lid on. And that should be good for I don't know, at least 6 months. I think we've kept, I think the last batch I made only lasted 6 months. So if you have a larger family and you eat pancakes more often than we do, we don't eat pancakes a ton. So if you eat pancakes more often than we do, that could last you maybe a month. You know, it just depends on how much you guys eat. That's a lot of pancake mix, and it's delicious. Oh. This is the recipe that my husband grew up with. My kids have had it most of their lives. This and Swedish pancakes. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make a pancake with this mix. So in here, I just have a little bit of this stuff. I'm going to point you down. Okay, so now we're cooking our pancakes. My pan is nice and hot. It's actually getting a little too hot, which my stove loves to do. And I'm going to use about, I've already cooked one. I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of mix. We're going to cook this just until it starts to dry on the edges and it's bubbling. Okay, one of the tricks with cooking pancakes is you want to make sure these corners are starting to get dry. Like they're not the wet, shiny stuff like you have in the center. I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can see that on the film. I hope so. But see how they're kind of getting dry. They're not that wet stuff anymore. And my stove gets so stinking hot. And we're going to cook it for a few more minutes on this side. Okay, last pancake. I just wanted to show you. This is the point if you wanted to add blueberries, chocolate chips, raspberries, currants, whatever you might like to, huckleberries. This is the point that you would put any of that kind of stuff in there. And you can put them in there, just kind of press them in if you have that kind of patience. If you're doing tons of them, don't worry about it. When it gets done, you'll just flip it and they'll all be in there just as if you had made a blueberry pancake or anything like that. And then you have, like I have kids, some kids won't touch the blueberries in it. They want chocolate chips in it. Some kids like butterscotch chips in it. Some kids just like them plain. You have that option. You don't have to be all bound in one batter having all those things in it. So that is it. All right. So we're just going to throw some butter on there. Go ahead and put that all over for her. And we like, oh, she likes fake maple syrup. I prefer this. One of my kids likes this sugar-free fake stuff. And that's our pancake mix. It's super simple. It's as easy as pulling that out. It's just add water. And the kids, they can do that whenever I'm not home. I prefer sourdough pancakes over these. I'm thinking I need to try a gluten-free one. I think I'm going to try that with my meal and see if we can come up with a good gluten-free recipe. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of a fork and a loaf. Hit subscribe if you like this. Share with your friends on social medias. And thanks for coming along. We'll see you next time.